you smell.
I am a real American.
On this episode, Andy and John discuss WrestleMania 36 Night 2. Welcome to the road home from wrestling.
Here in my car, I feel safest of all. I can lock on my doors. It's the only way to live in cars. Here in my car, I can only receive. I can listen to you.
All right, well, we're not headed home, but we're hanging out, talking about WrestleMania 36 Night 2. My name's Andy. I'm coming to you live to tape from the road home from wrestling world headquarters of the world. And I got John hanging out with me, too, via Skype. What's up, John?
Not much, Andy. I actually am kind of exhausted from all the wrestling that we've had in the past 2 days, which is weird to say because I'm not used to being tired of wrestling because it's been so many weekends since I've watched wrestling.
Yeah, I think what happened is that our tolerance for wrestling got all fucked up. And so, now we just overdosed on wrestling, and maybe we took too much, man. Maybe that whole that whole Firefly Funhouse thing, that was because we took too much. What do you think?
Yeah, we definitely took too much of something before that match. I'm not quite sure what. But think of it this way, though. If the whole coronavirus didn't happen, then we would have had last night and tonight in the same night. So we would have had a 7-hour show on Sunday alone, plus a takeover yesterday that was probably 3.5 hours. So we're kind of getting out ahead here.
I think that tonight's episode is going to be a lot less positive than last night's was. Just getting that out there right away. And I think that part of that is how I end up feeling after watching a second night of televised wrestling. Like, for example, this year at Wrestle Kingdom, I like the first night a lot better. Usually I like the takeover a lot better than I do whatever pay-per-views the next night. Do you think that has something to do with it? Just the fact that we were just a little more fresh yesterday?
Yeah, I think that we tend to get a little more hype for the first night, and then the second night comes, and so our expectations were set at a certain level, and if it doesn't necessarily meet that level or even fall short, then we didn't, I guess, have quite as good of experience as we did the night before, and so it feels a little bit of a letdown. Not that I was disappointed with tonight, but it just wasn't on the same level as yesterday, I didn't think.
And I think and I think there's a lot of people out there that are going to completely disagree with some of the things we have to say about these matches. So that's okay. It's a subjective thing, and so we're here to give our opinions, and me and John won't always agree. So, it's okay, and it's okay to like something, so we're not here to tell you that you're wrong for liking something. So don't get that idea. But because we're usually very positive on the show, tonight may not be very positive. But yeah, tonight I took the notes, John. So, I'm going to give you kind of the reins and let you kind of run us, tell me what to do here.
Okay, so I'll just, kind of start us out. We were at the Performance Center again, where Corey Graves and that the other guy again, forgot
Peter
his name.
Rosenberg.
Yeah, Peter Rosenberg. They were in the mysterious studio with different attire on, which I liked that they had different clothes on, because we learned later on in the show that some people did not change their outfits from night 1 to night 2, which is okay. But so what happened during the pre-show? Was there any matches, Andy?
Yeah, so I got the notes on the pre-show. We had Corey Graves and Peter Rosenberg on the holodeck, and they quickly recapped last night's highlights, and then they pimped the shit out of the network, and they previewed tonight's show. And then we got a promo with the Street Profits where they both talked at the same time, just talked over each other. One of them did an awful Macho Man impression, and apparently they want the smoke, I think.
Yeah, they want the smoke. I don't know what the smoke is. But like, are they want like a fog machine or?
Well, if you'd like me to, I can explain what the smoke is. Because early in the Road Home from Wrestling podcast, we would have pro wrestler Lexus Montez on, and he would say that phrase, and this is years ago, and he would say that phrase, and I would always say, what the hell does that mean? And at a certain point, that became a meme kind of on the show, is the smoke. So when you say, I want that smoke, that means that I want to fight you. But, like, for example, there's smoke you don't want. Like, for example, if Brock Lesnar is mad at you, you don't want that smoke. You know what I mean? Because he's going to kill you. So, unless you're Drew McIntyre. But, but if, say, for example, I don't know, I'm trying to think of someone who I think it could beat up. Maybe Drake Maverick. If Drake Maverick was coming at me, I'd be like, yeah, I want that smoke. He'd probably kill me, though. But anyway, that's what the smoke is.
Okay. I mean,
it's also
okay.
It's also weird.
Very eloquently. But yeah, so after the Street Profits promo, do we have a match, or was it more promos upon promos?
Not yet. We did get a match, though, and this might have been the best match of the night, and that might be sacrilege to some people, but I thought this was really good. We had Natalya versus Liv Morgan. And I don't know what the story is behind this one. Is there a story behind this one, John, or not?
I think they both just happened to be there and had their ring gear, and they had their song on their phone, and they said, hey, if you want to just plug this in and play on my music, I can come out and have a match.
Interesting. There was a funny tweet exchange between Killer Cross, who said, hey, how come Liv Morgan's trying to look like Scarlett Bordeaux, who is like his girlfriend and also is signed to WWE at the Performance Center. And Nia Jax piped up and was like, hey, you better slow your roll. So that was interesting. I'm grasping at straws here, people. But yeah, we had a lot of giggling and goofy trash talk to start this match. John, you had some opinions on maybe some feelings that these young ladies have for each other. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, at one point, Natalya kept like looking at Liv and was like, "You want this?" And Liv's like, "Yeah, I want it." And then they just kept going back and forth about like, "Yeah, give it to me." And I'm like, "Wait, what are we doing here? Is this a match, or like are they like catching feelings?" And I mean, honestly, I thought that they might start making out because that's how like fun and playful Liv was being.
Yes, they were both being like playful, like, hey, let's have ourselves a match. Oh, you want this? I want that. Okay. I mean, maybe they were talking about the smoke. I don't know.
Yeah, they wanted the catnip because Natalya's into cats.
That's true, yeah. Well, Natalya stays in control for a good portion of this match. In fact, she got almost all the offense in this match. However, Liv Morgan is a tremendous seller, so she looks like she's dying through a good chunk of this. She's great at that. She has we get a Mexican surfboard from Natalya, which is awesome. And Liv finally succeeds in cutting Natalya off, but Natalya pretty much immediately takes over again with an X Factor. We get a cool enziguri by Liv Morgan that causes a brief double down, fish out of water spot, and Liv ends up getting the pin. What you think?
Yeah, I was very surprised because Liv Morgan, I'm honestly, this might be her first win in WWE. I could be wrong about that, and I probably am wrong, but I do not remember her ever winning a match outside of being with the Riot Squad. So I guess there's future plans for her, and Natty, being the most all-around female wrestler in WWE who's willing to job to anyone, did her job tonight.
Do you think that there have been more women's gimmicks or men's gimmicks that they build up? They did all this background for, they're doing Twitter stuff, they're doing video packages, and then nothing. Do you think there's more women's ones of those or men's ones of those, if that's even a correct sentence?
I would say there's probably more women's because I very vividly remember do you remember Emelina?
Yeah, sure.
When they tried to change Emma into Emelina, and she finally debuted, and like 2 seconds later, she's like, "Just kidding, I'm Emma." I'm like, wait, we just had this like 12-week build up to her being Emelina, and then nothing.
They did that with Lana. They did that with Liv Morgan. They've done that with a bunch of people, and it makes me wonder. I mean, a lot of times when that happens to a guy, they get this build up and everything. We find out why it didn't happen. With the women, it's a little more mysterious. So interesting, but I don't know, man. I thought this was a good match. Again, one of my biggest issues with tonight and last night was that some of the stuff that just happens is not WrestleMania worthy. Just a straight up decent match. It's fucking WrestleMania. Why aren't we jumping off of stuff?
There's not much to jump off of.
I guess not.
But and I think the thing that makes it not feel like WrestleMania is the lack of crowd, which I think the lack of crowd was much more apparent tonight than it was last night.
Yeah, I think the wrestlers did a bad job at times, not always, of covering. And, I don't know, man. I went back and rewatched two things from last night. One was the Daniel Bryan, Sami Zayn match, and they masterfully made me completely forget there was not a crowd, and along with the performers on the outside, made my attention focus on everything that was going on in the match and nothing else. And I think that it was because of the pace, it was because of the masterful selling, and it was because of the performances by everybody going on in everyone in the match involved. I think that match in particular is kind of the future of wrestling if they continue to have these empty arena shows, because I feel like that managers will make a comeback if that's a continuous thing that happens. Valets are going to make a comeback because you need that shit going on the outside of the ring to kind of fill in that space.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. And we had that with some instances tonight, and some where the valet just didn't know what she was doing.
That's right.
For most of the match.
After years of being a valet, still don't know what you're doing. But there's people standing ringside yelling at you, telling you what to do. And still not doing anything.
Because we can hear them yelling at you to tell you what to do.
Well, next we had Dolph on the phone, Dolph Ziggler, and he's trying to get a hold of Mandy Rose, but he can't. He's leaving a message. And here comes Sonya Deville, and Sonya Deville's plot, like him and her, like kind of they're frantically plotting to cover up their plot. And then Dasha walks up, the backstage person, and she tries to get an interview, but they're like, nah, man, social distance, and they walk off. And John, can you briefly break down that story, or should we wait till that match? What do you think?
We can wait till the match starts, because I really actually like the build up for this match, so we'll wait for the match.
Okay. Now, did you see the Skype call between Booker T and Christian and Renee Young?
I saw a little bit of it, and I was confused because like Booker T just started rambling on at one point, and I'm like, "What are you talking about, man?" But I was trying, I think it was at this point my feed. I think there's too many of us on our certain WWE Network account, so I'm watching it and it cuts me off again, saying that there's too many people on. So I went and signed out from that account, made my own account that I got free for a month. So I now have my own account that I'm gonna, cancel as soon as this call is over, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget, Well, it was funny because Christian's there, and obviously he has some interesting things to say about the Edge match, coming up, and that's what they were talking about. And Renee Young's like, "Oh my gosh, we have however many time heavyweight champion of the world. It's Christian," and she's introducing him, and she's like, "How you doing, Christian?" And Booker T just goes, "Oh, wow," and just starts talking right over him, and it's like, what? Did you guys learn how to do promos from the Street Profits? What the hell?
I think the Street Profits one of them, Montez Ford, might have been trained with Booker. I don't know. I feel like that seems accurate. I could be wrong.
I know Ember Moon was trained by him, and that's pretty cool. I miss her. She was one of my favorites. But well, let's see here. So
they hyped the Last Man Standing match, and then from there, I believe we went back to the studio with Corey Graves and Peter Rosenberg, and they kind of just went over the rest of the card. And then did they give us another video recap of night one. Like,
oh yeah, and not only
like
that,
the third time.
we also got the pre-show main event. And the pre-show main event was a promo video for the main event of WrestleMania that we're going to see later.
Good, because I didn't know that we were having any matches tonight.
Well, after that, we moved on to the main card. Stephanie McMahon welcomes us again and tells us, hey, we got stuff going on here, and there's no crowd, so but we can't say the C word, so yeah.
Yeah, don't you tempt us.
So we get the same cool, like, 300 style intro as we did yesterday, and we didn't really get a chance to go into detail about it too much yesterday. Was your favorite part the same one that was mine, where it's Seth Rollins fighting a giant crab while Jack Sparrow does voiceover and AC/DC rocks out?
Yeah, it was, because I think it gives a very interesting look into Seth Rollins' life, that he's having to fight such big crabs, and that I was wondering if this is like real life fighting, like fake life, and I was worried and concerned for him.
It's a metaphor.
Yeah, everything in life's a metaphor.
Okay, well, I hope that explains some of the things we saw later. So, Snickers proudly presents WrestleMania. Rob Gronkowski comes out and says words. He was such a good football player. Like, he was awesome. One of the best tight ends to ever play the game. And man, hosting WrestleMania isn't football.
No, it's not. And just because it's on the same night as Sunday doesn't mean like you're going to be a star at it. You know what we didn't get? We didn't get America the Beautiful.
No, they already did it once, and they're like, good enough.
We don't have time to do another supercut of all the other ones. And you suggested that the DX band should have been the America the Beautiful, but Vince didn't agree.
America the Beautiful. If you've never heard this, there is this band that is a ripoff of Rage Against the Machine that did the DX theme, which is a cool song. But that's because they don't really talk on it, you don't hear the main dude. And the main dude, who unfortunately has passed away, however, I am still going to talk shit about him. He's terrible. And they did a version of America the Beautiful once for WrestleMania. And it was one of the, I don't remember which WrestleMania it is, but you have to look it up. But one of the funniest things about it is not only is it terrible to the point where the crowd just boos the shit out of him, but also Jim Johnston, the dorky white dude that writes a lot of the or used to write a lot of the themes for WWE, is on guitar. And it's just like these fucking dudes with dreads that are clearly like stoner dudes that are all fucking hippified and 90s out, and then like Jim Johnston. It's really funny.
He had to make sure he got his stuff in, man. Don't be hating. But after Rob Gronkowski welcomed us to the show, what was our opening contest of the evening?
Well, John, it was the NXT Women's title match. We had the Queen herself, Charlotte Flair, versus the champion, Rhea Ripley. And you were really looking forward to this one, right?
Yeah, out of the 16 matches that were advertised for this weekend, this was the one that I was most excited about, because I think that Charlotte obviously is probably the best, most well-rounded female wrestler in WWE and potentially the world, I might say. I'm sure I'll get a little heat for that, but hey, she's pretty good. There's a reason she's at the top of her game right now. And she was taking on who I think is the future of the women's division, Rhea Ripley. And so I was very excited to see these two go at it, because Rhea has been on this super hot streak. It's almost the same kind of hot streak that Asuka has been on, or that Asuka was on when she was in NXT. And so I was like, holy crap, yeah, we got another really hot feud going on here. I can't wait to see Rhea get her big WrestleMania moment.
Yeah, it's similar to the Shayna Baszler story too, a little bit, huh?
Yeah.
That's weird. Well, let's see here. So, this match, first thing I noticed right away was Rhea Ripley's new gear that she was wearing, which I did learn was some kind of Dragon Ball Z cosplay. However, it was blue and white, and I called it Mega Babyface gear with big match boots. That's what I called it.
Yeah, because I was kind of like taken aback because I'm so used to her being in very dark clothes, and like even her intro video, like her Titantron video, was Doom, and then she comes out in bright clothes that are Dragon Ball Z inspired, and I'm like, wait, what's going on here? This isn't the Rhea Ripley I know.
Come on, yeah, that's what's going on.
My buddy who's new at wrestling, he's texting me and he's like, so who's the bad guy in this match? I was like, are you an idiot? I was like, he's like, is it Rhea? I was like, Charlotte is so cocky and thinks she's better than everyone. You think that she's the good guy? Yeah. Like, dude.
I mean, maybe he's judging these things from other perspectives. Who knows, you know? Charlotte goes right after Rhea Ripley's leg, which this match actually had psychology, and it made perfect sense why she would want to do that because, you know, as we know, Charlotte's finisher is the figure eight, which is a leg submission. But we had a false finish right off the bat where Rhea kind of hits like a, she didn't get all of it, but she hit the riptide, but Charlotte kicks right out.
Yeah, it didn't look like the riptide. It just looked like she did a not that well executed pump handle slam.
It was like, yeah, kind of like a pump handle Michinoku driver type deal. But, you know, Rhea got some good shine right off the bat with a somersault senton to the floor and a sweet-ass drop kick. She got some legs or body scissors on Charlotte and paintbrushes the back of Charlotte's head, which is pretty cool. But then, you know, Charlotte Flair takes over after catching Rhea's leg in the ropes, all right? And she works over the leg for quite some time, right?
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to so this is when my food was arriving, so I didn't get to pay like super close attention because I was like trying to make sure I didn't get any diseases from the food that I was getting delivered.
What did you get to eat?
I got Outback. I wanted a nice burger. They have nice burgers.
Yeah, I got Papa John's, which I don't usually get, but I don't know why. It was like the best deal or something. And they say they have no contact delivery. So I told the driver, just call me when you get here and I'll come down and get it, but I'd like you to just set it down and you can leave. And so it was this young lady and she came to the door and saw me there and I just looked at her. And she pulled the pizzas out of the bag. She put the bag on the ground and then set them on the bag and took one step away. And I was like, what are you doing? And she goes, this is our policy. And I said, whatever. And I just picked up the fucking pizzas and then washed my hands when I got in here. So I
had to sign my receipt. And I was like, wait.
No.
Am I having to sign this receipt, dude?
No, you don't. That's.
Wow. He handed it to me like, here you go. You got to sign this. Okay, well, I already paid with my tip and all that online.
You know what pisses me off is I hate when I get Donato's does this to me. I order online, I pay online, I show up, and I say, hey, this is my order. Hey, you guys aren't busy at all. That's my order right there. I can see it right there. They look at the computer, they look at the order, they type a bunch of stuff in the computer, they look at me, they look at the order again, they look at the pizza, and then they print out this big long receipt. They have me sign it, and then they look at it again, and then they hand me the pizza. And I'm like, motherfucker, hand me the pizza, and then do whatever else you need to do after I'm gone. Like, what are we doing? Makes me mad. So.
We're grouchy old men right now, Andy.
Definitely. So, all right.
So
she's working over the leg. And then we get this move. This might have been my favorite move of the night. I know this is stupid, but I love this. Charlotte hit this awesome chop block on the back of Rhea Ripley's knee, and it looked like Rhea Ripley's knee was dislocated and shredded, and it was fucking awesome. I love that.
One of my favorite moves that Rhea Ripley does is she does like an inverted clover leaf where she like ties their legs up and then typically picks them up and spins them around, but she didn't spin Charlotte around. But I really like that submission move. I don't know if she has a name for it, but I just know it looks really painful.
We're almost there, John. So she's selling the leg really well. She comes back a little bit with some kicks, and then we get more leg trauma. And even this is one of my favorite moves in this match too, because Charlotte even does a Charlie Horse punch. Charlie Horse punches her in the leg. Did you see that?
No, I didn't. But I've had a Charlie Horse.
It hurts, right?
Those are painful. Have you ever had one like in the middle of the night? It's like 3 a.m. and you're sleeping so well, and all of a sudden your leg just locks up, and you have to hurry up and scramble out of bed and try and like walk on it, but you can't really walk on it because your calf is seized up.
Yeah, well, I call that a cramp. What I'm speaking of as a Charlie Horse is when you punch someone right in the thigh and you just get them just right. A lot of times when I was a kid, my cousins would Charlie Horse me and they would punch me with their knuckles sticking out right in the thigh. And then if you punch someone in the arm and you do that, it's called a frog. So that's what when I was a kid. So really important. So this is when we get that high angle clover leaf that you're talking about from Rhea Ripley, but Charlotte reverses it into a kick. Gonna kick you. And then she gets her own submission, a high-angle Boston Crab from Charlotte into a fish out of water spot. They are going fucking hard as fuck, and they are hitting hard. So, like, the punches, the strikes, the kicks, they're really going hard. I really appreciated that.
Yeah, there was one point where Rhea was just, like, pelting Charlotte in the back with, like, just punt kicks, and I was like, man, those look painful.
Rhea Ripley punched Charlotte up to the second rope. She kept punching her until she had to climb to the second rope because she was being punched, and it looked great. And she goes for like a second rope, like that's not a superplex, that's like a, I don't know, like a better plex. It's not best, but it's better, But Flair knocks her off and hits a flying hitting, is what it says. I don't know what that is. Flying nothing. She hits a flying nothing. And then she gets a spear for a near fall. And Flair goes for the figure eight. The first time she tries it, she's got the figure four in. They're like slapping each other and stuff like that. And then she arcs into the bridge for the figure eight. And we have a new champion because Rhea Ripley taps out, John.
I know. I was very disappointed. I thought for sure she was going to get to the ropes and continue this match. But, I mean, have you ever been in the figure four?
Yes. Oh, yeah. That hurts.
It hurts real bad. So, like, I understand why she had to tap out from the pain, especially with her leg being worked over the entire match. But I was very disappointed because I thought this was going to be her moment to shine and get that really big moment. And at least she got a match at WrestleMania.
I don't know what this does for Charlotte when, it's like giving Brock Lesnar another win. Like, why? Like, what does that do for him? That doesn't make him better. That just makes the person that they beat worse. So, I mean, we don't know what they're going to do. I think, supposedly they taped different endings for a lot of these matches to confuse the staff so that, leaks wouldn't happen, but leaks did happen. In fact, somebody leaked the entire card and nailed everything. So that was out there. I didn't look at it, but I heard that was out there. So it's one of those things where I think that sometimes they change finishes just to subvert expectations and just to fuck with people that are leaking things. So, which is not a good way to book your company, but it's not my company. So, yeah.
But you also shouldn't have people in your company who are leaking out your products. So,
well,
that's one way to catch your rats.
They can make a lot of money doing that. So, that's the thing is betting and all kinds of weird shit out there that you can make money on that for. So, I don't know. Whatever.
But, like you said, we have our new NXT Women's Champion, Charlotte Flair. I believe this is now her 10th title reign. And so I guess they're going for tying her and her daddy with 16 title reigns. Probably going to give her 17 because Charlotte is known for having title reigns that are like 5 days. So we'll see.
She also, at a certain point, I think she had never lost at WrestleMania. And so I don't know if she's ever been pinned at WrestleMania. I'd have to go back and look, but she's going to eventually become like the new Mrs. WrestleMania or whatever. So that they're building that legend right now.
Yeah, without a doubt. But after that, what did we have next?
So next we had a really long night one recap video. They pretty much showed us the whole night one. And, tonight's show didn't end till 10:25. If they had removed this and shortened another match, we could have got out of there by 9:30. But this is like a 15-minute recap video. And I'm thinking to myself, why is this?
Because we already saw it on the pre-show.
Yes!
Twice, I'm pretty sure, on the pre-show. So why do we need it again 35 minutes into this show?
Because it's the showcase of the Immortals, John, and it's got to be long as fuck. Well, after that, we had a match, and this is one of the most nonsensical, stupid matches of the night. We have Aleister Black versus Bobby Lashley with Lana. Why is match, John?
I honestly have zero idea why this match is happening. I have the slightest clue.
Oh, and the announcers did a really good job of explaining it, didn't they?
They said, Bobby Lashley returned, and he was looking for a fight. And, he knocked on Aleister Black's door, and so now they have a match here to see who's better. That's basically how they explain this match.
We're a couple minutes into this match, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, Aleister Black is a legit kickboxer. Okay, he did really well in kickboxing. And you have Bobby Lashley, who's a legit MMA guy, and and fought in Bellator and stuff like that. And the announcers didn't say anything about that.
Right, they're like, these two are well-known fighters on the Monday Night Raw roster.
What the fuck? How do you not know? I mean, how do you not mention that? It's like there's and in fact, the match started with them kind of like feeling each other out like it was an MMA fight, like a standing MMA fight, and I just, it's pretty obvious, so the match starts, Bobby strong. That's, Bobby, he's strong. Aleister Black knocks Bobby Lashley to the outside and goes for the Golden Triangle moonsault, but Bobby dodges it and hits an overhead belly to belly. He does have good suplexes. I like those.
Yeah, my favorite part of that sequence is like Aleister Black, he leaps over him and he turns around and he's like, where'd he go? Like, obviously you didn't hit him, so like he's probably behind you now. Like, it's pretty obvious where he went. He didn't like disappear into the ring.
Well, John, we all know Bobby Lashley, known for his elusiveness, so, I mean, of course that makes a lot of sense. Yes. Super boring heat on Aleister Black as Lana cheers on the outside every once in a while. This is like, Lana was the worst valet ever in this match. She looked amazing, don't get me wrong. I mean, holy shit, she was knockout gorgeous, but she just said nothing. And every once in a while it seemed like someone was yelling at her because she'd go, oh, yeah, Bobby, go Bobby. But I know why. I know why she wasn't doing anything. Because every time she has a spot in a match, go back and watch matches where she's a valet. If she has a spot, she doesn't do anything because she's concentrating on when to do the spot.
She wants to make sure she doesn't miss her mark.
Yes. That was awesome. So Aleister Black tries to come back a few times, but he gets cut off, of course. Lashley has Aleister on his shoulder like he's going to hit a high-angle Canadian backbreaker a la Larry D. But Lana jumps up on the apron just in time to order Bobby to use the spear instead, which is...
he's like, yeah, you right, baby. And he like kisses his fingers and points at her like and gives her a wink. He's like, yeah, I'm going to hit that spear for you. Which is the second match with a spear. Why?
Yeah. So he turns around right into a black mass. Aleister Black wins. Why his match?
I don't know, because they needed to fill more time. Move the Natalya Liv Morgan match to the main card and push this down to the pre-show.
That's not good. So this is when things start to... this is when I'm like, okay, I'm still having an open mind here, and I'm like, all right, okay, well, that was kind of stupid, but let's move on. Next we had Dasha talking to Sasha and Bayley says her match isn't fair. But she assures Dasha that Sasha and her are besties still, And she walks off, and Sasha's left there with Dasha. This is confusing. And Sasha says, we'll have to wait and see, because Dasha had asked her, like, so are you going to be, like, friends with Bayley? Are you going to, like, turn on her? Or what's going to happen? And she says, you have to wait and see.
I like that that secrecy. We don't know if Sasha's going to, be up to her old tricks of being a baddie, or if she's going to, be good and have her friends back. I like the suspense.
I wish they would do, like, this storyline doesn't show up very often these days, but the Ric Flair Sting storyline, or the Lex Luthor Sting storyline, where Sting is such a nice guy, he's a fucking idiot, and he trusts anybody. And, like, like Ric Flair's turned on him like 50 times, and he still is like, yeah, I'll tag with you, Flair. Like, we need that. We need that character in WWE now, because it's just funny. I love that, because you never know when they're going to turn. And in this case, what they've done to subvert the expectations is, in this case, Bayley's going to turn on Sasha, not the other way around. That's what they're going to do. And then they're going to make Sasha the babyface, because they've already done in NXT the other way around. So they have to do it different. It can't be the same, So
that's true. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
I just figured Sasha is known for being a bad friend, and so I just figured she'd be the bad guy in this storyline.
That's what they want you to think, John.
So what happened after that? Did we have another segment or a match?
We had a Money in the Bank promo, question mark, for May 10th, question mark, how, question mark.
That is not going to happen. I don't know. Like, are they just going to go to, like, Vince's backyard and be like, hey guys, you want to come over and, like, do this pay-per-view in my backyard? I can set up a ring.
I don't, like, what? What? Okay, we know a few people that are still promoting their wrestling shows, and their wrestling shows are, like, at the end of the summer. Like, okay. And some of them are doing it with well knowing that maybe their show's going to get canceled, but they're doing it for their mental health, which makes sense to me, and they're readily admitting that. Maybe they already taped all this shit. I don't know. I mean, who knows?
So supposedly they've taped up through Monday Night Raw tomorrow night, and probably NXT. But after that, I don't know that they have anything taped.
Gosh, we'll see what's going to happen. It's going to be very interesting and probably sad. But Money in the Bank, May 10th. Get your tickets now, kids, because it's definitely going to happen. I'll tell you.
Yeah, and it's like in Philadelphia, where, like, it's almost the epicenter of the U.S.'s pandemic. So it's fun. It's going to happen, everybody.
Oh, my God. Well, after that, we had Cole and JBL recapping the 24/7 title bullshit from last night. And then, John, this is when you noticed that Charlie and Gronk were still wearing the same clothes they were wearing yesterday. What the fuck, guys?
So I think Gronk is known for his partying. And so I think what happened here is that Gronk just stayed in the Performance Center by himself all last night and just partied and drank in the big open areas because, he didn't have anything else to do, and they're quarantined there. And Charlie was like, hey, I can party too. And so she's like, I work for ESPN, so hey, let's meet up and let's chat. And she's like, oh crap, I forgot to bring a change of clothes. And Gronk's like, me too. But everyone else remembered to bring a change, except for these two.
Interesting. Well, it's either that or they taped it all on the same day.
Well, even if they taped it in the same day, everybody else changed their outfits.
Yeah, but maybe they didn't know that part was going to be on night 2 until later, because I would assume they mixed all this up. Like, this probably got put together, ripped up, I would assume that's happened over the past couple of days, but anyway, well, next we get a match. We get Dolph Ziggler with Sonya Deville versus Otis. And John, can you break down quickly this convoluted story behind this match?
So Otis has been trying to get with Mandy for a long time, since at least February 14th. They set up a date to go out on Valentine's Day because Mandy was busy 3 days prior. So Sonya was not very keen to Mandy dating Otis, and so she kind of set things up. We weren't positive that she set things up that she really wanted Mandy to date Dolph. And so Dolph ended up showing up to the dinner because Otis showed up late, and so Mandy and Dolph were like, hey, you're cute, I'm cute, let's date. So they've been dating for the past month and a half. And this past week on SmackDown, there was a secret. There's been a lot of like staticky footage showing up on SmackDown for the past like month and a half, and nobody's known what it is. And so everyone kind of suspected it to be the debut of a new character, but instead it was a guy who's been creepily watching cameras and watching people in private situations. And so he had a camera on Mandy's locker room where Sonya took Mandy's phone and texted Otis and told her, hey, I'm running late. Let's push back our date a few minutes. And so Otis was like, sweet, I can show up a little late. And then Sonya texted Dolph and told him to show up early. And so they had a date that way. So Sonya's been sneakily lying to Mandy for the past month because I think she wants some weird kinky thing with Mandy, Dolph, and her. But I'm not too sure about that. And so now Mandy's pissed because her best friend has been lying to her. And the man of her dreams has also been lying to her. And she's torn. She doesn't know what to do.
Okay. All right. Pretty good. The preview package for this match was pretty much exactly what you just said. It showed all that. I don't know. Let's get in this match. All right. So this is funny. So Michael Cole claims that this is one of the most personal matchups in WrestleMania history.
It is. Nothing more upsetting than a big guy who gets his heart broken and he thinks a super hot chick is into him, and it turns out she's not, but it turns out she might be. Like, that is a very personal, because, big guys, they usually come last, and the hot guys usually come first. And so, it's a deeply personal storyline. I felt very invested.
Well, John, Ziggler beats up Otis on the outside. We get back in the ring, and Dolph dominates with holds and really great drop kicks and stuff. Dolph Ziggler attacks Otis's eyes. Someone get your eye. Go get him. Then we had
because if he takes his eyes, then he can't see him to catch him.
That's true. And a really long rear mount chin lock, but Otis fights out of it. He hits a slingshot into the corner for a double down, and then Otis starts hulking up. And Otis's hulk up is like he starts like thrusting at the air with his crotch, and it's and you can hear Vince McMahon laughing. Like I could just hear him laughing, which is weird because I don't even think he was there, but you could hear it. We get lariatos and a body slam from Otis. Otis's offense is very limited, which I don't think it needs to be. I think he could probably do a lot more shit than they let him do. I mean, that's everyone in WWE, but I think it'd be cool if he had a couple cool moves. Don't you think?
He's got the worm. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, a couple cool moves.
That's
what
like
I'm saying.
his only thing. But, I mean, I was kind of surprised because I'm not used to – Otis is obviously like a tag team wrestler. And so I was kind of shocked that he was able to do this 15-minute match with Dolph Ziggler and not – and it was an enjoyable match.
Yeah.
And so I was very surprised that he was able to even help kind of keep that match going for that long.
Well, Dolph Ziggler's an ideal opponent for a young wrestler like Otis because Dolph Ziggler is a pro at making others look amazing to the detriment of himself, honestly. And he would have been a main eventer if he had cool moves, but he doesn't. And so, even his super kick sucks, but man, he can sell like nobody's business, and he's bumping all over the place for Otis. So that's good stuff. Let's see here. Dolph gets dumped to the outside, and Otis throws him all over the place, which is cool. Back in the ring, we get a pop-up slam from Otis, and he does the worm, but he gets interrupted by Sonya, who's up on the apron going, hey, look at me, hey, and this allows Dolph to get a low blow, but then we get a run in. Mandy Rose's music hits, she runs in. She's wearing a one-piece, weird, I don't know. Her gear was weird looking, right?
It's like it's supposed to be a one-piece bathing suit, but the entire front middle is cut out, it's supposed to be her chest and everything. So then she has a matching bra with the extra material, and it's a very nice outfit. Don't get me wrong. And even
no,
Sonya
her
looked very pretty tonight.
well, yeah, Mandy's physique is that of Jessica Rabbit from I mean, she's a cartoon character.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, which is awesome. I mean, it's beautiful to look at. I love looking at her, of course. And I've actually seen her in good wrestling matches too, at live shows. So, hoping one day she actually gets to like wrestle and stuff. That'd be cool. But Otis, basically, so Mandy runs in, and she slaps Sonya. She slaps the taste out of her mouth. And then she low blows Dolph behind the ref's back. And what happens, John?
Otis is then able to hit the worm, right?
Yeah.
And then he picks up the victory, and he gets his first WrestleMania win.
And he picks up Mandy Rose with pretty much one hand and just like carries her around, and he plants a big old wet one on her face, and they look like they're having so much fun.
I wish I was this in love, honestly, especially with a woman as attractive as Mandy Rose.
I almost jumped into my television, but then I realized that's not how televisions work, because I wanted to choke JBL. Because JBL was on commentary for this match, and he'd just say, "Oh, Michael, he's a farm animal. Michael, look at him. He escaped from a zoo. He's an animal. Did I mention that he is an animal of some kind?" And he wouldn't shut the fuck up. He got 1 point. He just kept hitting it over and over and over again,
Well, Cole, even before the match started, when they threw it to the video package originally, he said that this was a true life Beauty and the Beast, like referring to Otis as the Beast. And I'm like, wait, what? He's not a monster. He's just heavy.
He ain't heavy. He's a monster. But
he's just big. He's not a monster. I mean, he needs to shave his beard, but like other than that, he's good to go.
Well, John, next we have our last man standing match. You want to set this one up for us?
Yeah, so after 9 years, Edge has returned from injury where he was told that he will never wrestle again. And after 9 years, he makes his triumphant return at the Royal Rumble, where he makes it to the Final Four and is eliminated by his best friend, Randy Orton. And so the next night on Raw, Randy calls out Edge and he says, "Hey, let's get the band back together. Let's form a rated RKO." And Edge is like super pumped, like, "Yeah, let's do it." And instead, Randy Orton just tries to murder him, like tries to shatter his neck again by hitting a concerto and every other possible move. And so Edge has been gone pretty much for the next 2 months. And then he finally returns after Randy takes out Beth Phoenix. And he decides, "Randy, if you're not a little punk, let's have a last man standing match at WrestleMania in front of thousands of fans." And Orton's like, "All right, but only obligation is I don't want any fans there. So I'll do the last man standing, but no one's around. And I'm going to finish you for good because I think you should be home with your daughters and because I'm your best friend. And I like to talk into your ear and whisper sweet nothings and get very intimately close to you, Edge."
Okay. Well, I have a lot of bad things to say about this match. So I couldn't stand this. I think that this match, I didn't time it. But when it began, it was just after 8 o'clock, and when it ended, it was just after 9 o'clock. So this match might have been an hour long. I'm not sure.
No, the official time, someone tweeted it out. It was like 36 minutes and 45 seconds.
I wonder if that's with entrances or not. But it felt like it felt like a fucking 3-hour match. I couldn't stand this, but I'm going to do my best to break it down, and I have a lot of notes, so I'm going to run through these as quick as possible, okay?
Go for it.
Okay, so right off the bat, Edge, he comes out, gets his entrance, he's standing there in the ring, Randy Orton Pearl Harbors him right of the way with an RKO. Now, it's a last standing match, so one thing I didn't put in the notes is that every time someone gets knocked down, the ref starts counting. Every time, okay? Which happened 35 50 times, who knows? So, the match was so repetitive at times that it just got so old. So, anyway, so he tries to do that. The ref is a maniac, yelling in Edge's face like, do you want to quit? What do you want? You have to stand up. You have to stand up. Just yelling at him. And it was like he was trying to tell himself that, not tell Edge that. It was so weird. Or of course Edge does answer the call, right? Let's see here. And immediately he RKO's him again, but Edge gets up. Then Orton uses a very expensive looking camera as a weapon, and he's like yanking the cords out of it and stuff. That was weird. And then they fight to the back with Orton getting all the offense. Orton awkwardly uses some straps hanging from a weight machine and has to remind the ref to count the fall. He's like, what, is that not a count?
Yeah, he like hangs him. Like he literally puts his neck in some like straps and like knocks his knees out and like is hanging him there. And I'm like, what are we doing here?
Oh, stupid.
It's not a last man like hanging match. It's a last man standing match.
That's a different kind of match, yeah. Orton picks up a weight plate, but finally Edge kind of gets some offense in with a drop kick, and then Edge hits punches. Then he hits punches. After that, a couple punches. He hits a flying Les press on an office chair that looks very comfy. It's hey.
That was such an awkward spot. I like saw that and I was like, what just happened? Is this our high-flying action we're getting in this last man standing match? He's using the pull-up bar to like hit a Les press?
Yeah, I don't get it. Edge yells at Orton and hits punches, but Orton whips him into the wall. Every time they're down, which is a lot, the ref's counting. Every time. Except for when Randy has to remind them. Randy tries to use a sled on Edge, but Edge dodges. They brawl through a hallway to the entrance of this room. Edge falls a few feet down onto the barricade, and it's like a 5-foot drop, and they try their best with camera angles to make it seem like it's like 30 feet in the air, but it's not. And it plays as a huge high spot in the match, and it's not.
Because you see Randy Orton like sit down on the ledge and his legs are dangling down. And they're 2 feet from the ground. You're like, okay, well.
This is fucking WrestleMania, guys. And we're jumping off 5-foot stuff. I don't get it. So they brawl to another room.
Then the conference room.
Well, we're not there yet.
Yeah, they had a hallway.
Right, yeah, so we're in a hallway now, and they cut to a roaming cam guy who is probably picking up, he had just picked up his camera and put all the cords back into it, so he's sprinting in position, and they cut to him early, so he's running, and it's like, well, that's weird.
Just running down this empty hallway, like trying to find them, like, oh, where are they at?
So then they make it into this conference room, right? Edge looks up, he knocks Randy Orton down on the table. It's this giant conference table, which they say is solid steel. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure it's steel. So it's probably not fiberboard. But fucking there's, for some reason, probably for the simple purpose so that he could do this spot, which is a goofy, shitty spot, he sees that just a couple feet above the, like where the light or a drop ceiling would be, there is like a cage hung like horizontally, kind of around the drop lights. And so he climbs on that like 1 foot above Randy Orton and then does an elbow drop. And I don't.
I was watching this spot and I literally laughed out loud because like he's standing on the table trying to like, and he's like acting like the cage is so high above him, but he's like crouching down, like his neck's bent, climbing the cage, and then he gets up there and drops 2 feet, and I'm like, they're like, oh, that was a devastating elbow from a few feet, and I was like, that was the corniest spot of this match so far.
Well, and right after that, Edge makes that noise that Seth Rollins made yesterday, where he was,
Yeah, I think that they just have that sound effect that someone in the back just keeps like, oh, this would be a good spot for it.
Oh, my God. So then the camera guy falls down or he gets taken out or something like that.
He starts zooming in on the action. Like, he's knocked down halfway down the hallway and starts zooming in up on, like, Edge's calf. And I'm like, just because you got knocked down doesn't mean you got to start zooming in.
Well, I think it was like the end of the Blair Witch Project. You know, he was standing in the corner. So, because like the camera just flipped and like fell on the ground. But anyway, let's see here. Camera guy gets taken out, and now they're fighting in another room. So something new. And next they fight into another part of that room. Edge gets knocked down in between a couple containers, and like this is supposed to be another big high spot where maybe he won't make the count. But the camera comes over to him, and he's got fire in his eyes. He's starting to like fire up, right? And commentary says Edge's eyes are glazed over. It's the opposite. That's not what they are. Look at the freaking monitor. All right. They fight to another part of the room. They're hitting punches and stuff. And this is when I realized this match is like really long, and I'm like, oh my god, this is going on forever. I'm so bored. And it's just not. It's two guys suffering is what we're watching, all right? And it's not fun. It's not like they're doing cool shit and we're getting to see athletic stuff. It's two guys suffering, which is not fun to watch. You know, I don't find that to be fun, especially when one of the guys is supposed to be making his like huge comeback and he's got health problems and stuff like that. So you just get to watch him suffer for 37 minutes. Great.
Yeah, I didn't think it really started picking up until like the very last room they finally got into, which was a warehouse that's at the Performance Center.
Yeah. So Edge climbs up some shelving and elbows Orton through a table. But the impact of this move is ruined because they have drapes over the table, so you can't hear the table breaking noise, and there's not like pieces of table that go everywhere. Like, come on, man, why? So maybe because it was a foam fucking table. That's probably why. So they both get up and they keep fighting. They're fighting by a forklift. Oh, this pissed me off. So they're fighting by this forklift that is in perfect position to help someone win this match. All right, it's like it's there. There it is. It's already raised up a little bit. All they have to do is knock someone out under it, push it down. You're gonna win the match, right? But no, they climb up it and use it as a ladder to get to the top of a trailer truck bed. Or excuse me. Hang on, I'm getting ahead of myself. So they're fighting to a forklift per position. Instead, they climb into a truck bed, all right? So there's like a truck bed that's clearly just filled with foam that goes in the ring, right? And the announcers are so quiet. This is another reason why this match was putting me to sleep, is because here's the announcers calling this match. Edge has his eyes are closed over, and Randy Orton goes for an elbow. And that's an elbow there. There's a punch. Okay. And they sounded like they were calling golf. I don't understand it. They're so quiet and calm. And part of their job is to help us get excited. And when they're not excited, why should I be excited? I mean, what the fuck? So let's see here. So we get a DDT into the truck bed, sorta. And I don't even know who hit that. I think it was Edge that hit that, but then Orton got up first.
No, it was Orton hit it on Edge.
I'm sorry?
Orton hit it on Edge. It was like his, where he puts guys on like.
Oh, the draping DDT. Yes. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, then it was Edge that got up first, or something like that. They did something like that. So now they get on top of a semi-tractor trailer, and there's a spear, but he gets up, and there's an RKO, but he gets up, and then Randy sets up for a concerto, but Edge gets a submission, which takes Orton down, and Edge could win, but he says, no, ref, you stop counting, you fucker. And then he hits the concerto, and he wins, and it's awkward and weird.
Yeah, so the things I was very confused by this match. Why are there tables in the back, like in the recreation area? Why are there drapes on them? Why is there an empty TV box? There's an empty food container. At one point, they have like a purple hand chair, like just sitting there randomly in the shot. And I'm like, what was that for? And then they have like 17 ladders set up. And I'm like, why are there so many ladders just randomly set up in this warehouse? But the part that pissed me off the most, I think, in this entire match was they got to the top of the tractor trailer and there's already a cameraman up there. And I'm like, wait, if we didn't know we were coming up here, how did we already get a cameraman up there? Like, we didn't have a rogue camera follow them up the path to get to the top of the tractor trailer. It was already there. And I'm like, that was dumb.
I like that rogue camera. That's great. It's called roaming camera, but I like yours better. Rogue camera's better because that you never know where the rogue camera's going to show up. He might steal your lunch money. You don't know. So
Well,
so
Randy Orton was a rogue cameraman at the
he
start.
was, yes. This match sucked, in my opinion. I think does a huge detriment to, Edge as a returning star that's supposed to get this amazing thing. He freaked out at the end and did show some emotion, but because there's no crowd to react and because the announcers were like, and he's going for a concerto and he might win here. It just had no excitement, and it killed the show for me. Absolutely killed it. John, any thoughts on this one before we bury this one and move on?
No, I was disappointed. Like I had high expectations for this, and honestly, we could have just had the last 5 minutes of it, and I would have been like, wow, that was a good match. But instead, we had the other 20 minutes of them just punching and grunting around the arena, and I'm like, what are we doing here?
If that match had been 10 to 12 minutes, I probably would have liked it. But it was 37 minutes. And the other problem is that a month ago, we saw one of the best backstage brawls ever at NXT. That was 40 minutes, and I didn't even notice that it was 40 minutes. And it was in the same places that they were brawling. So I remember all the cool shit that they did in that, and I'm like, well, why didn't you do any of that stuff? There was all kinds of cool shit,
So this was the same point in the night. My buddy Justin had texted me, and he's like, this night just feels really long. He's like, there's too many matches tonight. And I was like, buddy, there's the same amount of matches tonight as there was last night. They're just pacing them way differently tonight than they were yesterday.
That's not good, man.
And that's the fourth match. And we're already 2 hours deep into this show.
Yeah, and it's this point that I looked at the app to see when this is supposed to end, and I realized that we were going to 10:25 instead of 10, which is fine. I guess they needed this 37 minutes. But anyway, so after that, Mojo Rawley is chased by extras. That they want that belt, right?
Yeah, I didn't notice. I could not make out anyone in all of these guys.
No.
I'm even looking at a clip right now, and I'm like, I have no idea who any of these people are.
I didn't even pay attention. I was like, oh, this is something I don't care about. And Gronk has been kind of hanging out on you know what I think this thing is? I could be wrong, but I think this is the I'm afraid I've got some bad news. I think it's his podium from back in the day that used to rise up, if you remember.
Yeah, actually.
It might be, it might not. They got this kind of podium that's way up in the air that he's been kind of standing on, and so, which, by the way, Bad News Bear was fucking amazing. That gimmick was awesome. I miss it. But Gronk's up there, and before anyone's even in position, he's telegraphing that he's going to jump off this thing, right? So he does basically a coffin drop or whatever, just like a back, thingy, whatever, straight off this thing, takes everybody out, pins Mojo, and then kicks him a few times and kicks some of the extras and runs away.
That's how I interact with my friends. I sometimes am aggressive and I kick them. Sometimes I'm like Edge and Orton, where we just are up in each other's ears, whispering sweet nothings to tell them how much we love each other. So I really relate to all of the stuff tonight.
Well, we must not be friends, John, because you've never done any of those things to me. But well, after that, we get commercials. Why?
We got a Mordello commercial when no one told them that they weren't allowed to say the C word.
That's true.
Shame on them.
Gosh, I got a lot of cunt and cock jokes I could tell right now, but I'm not going to tell any of them. So, all right. Well, next we have the Raw Tag Team Championship match. And this is Austin Theory tagging with Angel Garza with Selena Vega versus the Street Profits, which is Dawkins and Montez Ford. Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford. John, did you know Angelo Dawkins has been in NXT maybe longer than anyone else?
Yeah, I think him and what is it? Who was Buddy Murphy's old tag team partner? Blake something. Yes. Those two have been in NXT forever. So Dawson, who's from Cincinnati, finally making it to the main roster. Good for him.
Yeah. Wesley Blake is who we were looking for.
Yes, that guy.
Yeah, he's terrible. So,
on the main roster.
do you remember when Alexa Bliss got them over? Like, they were
Yeah.
just jobbers, and they got over as fuck because they had Alexa Bliss with them, and they were pretty good. So, and they were good heels and stuff. I don't know, Blake and Murphy. Anyway, all right. So let's see here.
But yeah, so we had the most random tag team match for the Raw Tag Team Championships on WrestleMania. What? This again had like very little story because it was supposed to be Andrade and Angel Garcia taking on the Street Profits, but Andrade got a rib injury, and so they just randomly went to NXT and were like, oh, who's been here 3 weeks and looks like a professional wrestler? Austin Theory, you come up.
Yeah.
You're going to have your WrestleMania debut this week. What?
Yes, that's strange. And Angel Garza was originally supposed to be like in a triple threat or a four-way match for like the U.S. title or something like that. I don't know. This match is weird. Okay, and Austin Theory's a guy who's from Evolve, who is kind of like generic white guy, and he's a very good wrestler. However, he's been treated very strangely on WWE television. Like he was a babyface that got beat up, and then he was a heel in NXT, and now he's on this match. And I mean, good for him. You know what I mean? But he was in this match to get pinned. This match reminded me of one of those New Japan matches where it's like Tanahashi and Okada versus Naito and a young lion. It's like, who's going to get pinned in this match? You know what I mean? Like, come on.
How'd you get pinned?
Oh, man. Anyway, all right, so we had Austin Theory and Angelo Dawkins starting off, and they do wrestling moves, which was refreshing because we had that 40-minute window where we didn't see any wrestling moves. It was just like, I'm going to punch you. I'll shut up about that now. Okay. We had combo tag moves and a double drop kick that had the Profits dominating Theory. Ref distraction, and Garza gets a super kick on Dawkins, who's on the outside. Garza takes off his pants, and he kind of botches it a little bit. Doesn't quite work, the way it's supposed to. Too bad they couldn't retape that. That's too bad. But he gets heat on Dawkins. They cut the ring in half and work over Dawkins. This is really moving fast, And let's see here. They get him with holds and strikes. Ford tags in, and he hits drop kicks and a standing moonsault. Tope con hilo from Ford, moonsault to the outside from Garza, another moonsault in the ring, and Garza gets a near fall on Ford. What'd you think of the like super fast pace they were doing? Like, it's like Edge and Randy Orton took all the time, and they were like, oh, we gotta fucking hurry up.
Yeah, and it felt very rushed. But then again, I wasn't opposed to that because like this match honestly shouldn't have even happened on WrestleMania. Like, sorry, no offense, everybody in this match, but it shouldn't have been here. We didn't need a tag team title match.
No, we didn't. So.
Because there was no story. So why are we having this match when there's no story? Like, WrestleMania is literally the peak of storytelling for the year, or even the last 5 months. And yes, granted, we had the coronavirus, and it kind of threw a wrench in everybody's plans. But if you can't give us good established story, don't give us this match.
Yeah, that's true. Well, Montez Ford tags in Dawkins, who gets hit with an impressive TKO by Austin Theory. Austin Theory, not that big of a dude. Angelo Dawkins is, and if you know what a TKO is, that's a tough move to hit on a giant dude. So he does it, looks great. But Montez Ford's already in the air for a huge splash. That he hits on Austin Theory before he can make the pin, and then Dawkins just kind of rolls over on him and gets the pin, right? So the Street Profits retain. This is a worthless match that means nothing, and then we get some story stuff though, sort of, because Zelina Vega's been on the outside, and she, other than being a good valet and yelling and coaching them the whole time, which she's good at that stuff, she hadn't gotten any shit in. So the heels attack each other after the bell, and Zelina gets some kicks in too. They attacked.
They were beating up on Montez Ford.
Thank you. Yes.
They threw Dawkins out, and then they beat up on him.
Well, Dawkins actually brawled to the back with one of the other guys, and so yeah, because they actually comically brawled to the back. If you watch this again, you'll see them kind of getting the giggles and running to the back together while they're punching each other in the tummy. So, but Zelina gets some kicks in, and then Bianca Belair runs in to save the guy. Yes, her husband. And she hits the KOD on Zelina, and that's it on that. Any comments about that, John?
Yes. Again, this is another situation like the camera on top of the tractor trailer. Why is Bianca Belair even in the building? She's not advertised. Why does she have her ring gear on? Okay, fine. You're a wrestler. You're always prepared. You never know when you might get caught into a match. Sweet. So she runs down. She gets her shit in. But then why does her music start playing? I'm like, if we didn't know she was going to be here, why is her music playing? That is like one of my biggest gripes with just like any professional wrestling. Like if it's unexpected person just makes an appearance, why would you have their music queued up?
Music shouldn't play on a run-in unless it's a distraction type thing. And if it's my promotion, distractions get you fired. So, as we know, if I had my own promotion, if you distracted or interrupted another wrestler, you would be fired immediately because that is, the most lazy and shitty way to tell stories in wrestling. So, well, I guess we'll move on here, right? So what happened? John Gronk decided to leave, but we needed a host for WrestleMania, right? What are we gonna do without it? So
we would not know what to do. There's no ring announcers or commentary team. So if we didn't have a host, we would be so lost. And so luckily we had the host with the mostest, Titus O'Neil, came out to let us know that he was here to keep the show on track and keep this ship in line. And he introduced us to the next match, which was...
Well, SmackDown Women's Championship match, singles match, 5-way elimination match, which I'm going to set that up for you here in a second. I do want to point out real quick that you just said the host with the mostest, and that's actually almost exactly what Rob Gronkowski, the first thing he said out of his mouth on night one. He said, "I'm Rob Gronkowski. I'm the host with the most." Like, you unoriginal piece of shit. So, anyway. All right, so this is a 5-way elimination match. Bayley is the champion. Sasha Banks is her buddy, and they're both in this match together. So it's Sasha versus Bayley versus Lacey Evans versus Tamina versus Naomi. Okay, Tamina is bad. She is not good. And once she got out of this match, the match got a little better, but good Lord, I don't know. I didn't think this match was that great either. So we get big man spots from Tamina, but they team up to take her out. Sasha and Bayley team up on Lacey. We get these clunky looking 4-person moves that don't quite work. It's not smooth. There's sections of these moves where they're supposed to be onto the next part of the move, but they're standing there looking at each other. And they go, "Oh shit," That's
it's my turn. They're doing Alana. They're too focused on what their next spot is.
Yes.
There's a wrestling match going on right now.
Oh my God. Let's see here. So Cole says Sasha and Bayley almost eliminated at the same time, and Bayley growls at him, and she says, "No, we didn't," real loud. It's just pretty funny. And I don't know if you noticed this, but sometimes when they would cut to different camera angles, you could hear Cole yelling off mic. You could hear him just yelling his play-by-play. So
every time they would do like a replay, you could hear the commentary in the replay playing in the arena, like over the mics. And I'm like, what?
That's weird. But she was like, "No, we didn't." That was funny. So Tamina's back in, running offense on everybody. She tries 4 cocky pins, which is, that's bad karma in wrestling. Neither one works. But the ref won't count one of the pins because Tamina's leaning on the ropes because she's tired. And Cole acts like the ref is wrong. He's like, "Oh, this ref is an idiot. It's a no DQ match." You're like, "Yeah, it's not false count anywhere, motherfucker." So she can't pin somebody with her arms on the rope because, as we know, if you're on the ropes, you're out of the ring technically. You're out of bounds. Fuck you, Cole. My My note says, fuck you, Cole, right here. Then we get awkward silence as Team Bad stares at each other. John, can you break down who Team Bad is?
Team Bad is originally when they brought up Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte Flair during the Women's Revolution. They, for some reason, divided them all into 3 teams. And so Sasha Banks, Tamina, and Naomi, they, stuck all the African-American chicks together for some reason. And then they called them Team Bad. And I'm like, okay, this is what WWE's doing.
Well, Tamina is Tongan, I believe, but, Vince doesn't know the difference. So,
or me.
Yeah, they're go ahead.
I said or me, apparently.
Yeah, or you either. But, yeah, they were called Team Bad. There was the Submission Sorority. Remember that? But they became Team PCB. Yeah, and there was another one, too. There was another one. Bella. Team Bella, okay.
Because there was like Nikki, Brie, and Alicia Fox. Because that needed to be a team.
That's right. That was crazy, Alicia Fox. Anyway. So, yeah, so they stare at each other, and they're like, oh, we're going to be teammates, and yeah, we're Team Bad all the way. And they just beat each other up. So, stupid.
Yeah.
Lacey and Naomi try to pin Tamina, but it takes all 4 of them to pin her. So she's finally out, thank God.
I honestly thought that she was going to get the win here because she's been in the business for 95 years and she's never had a title reign. Oh. And I love that it's like as she was coming out, JBL and Michael Cole were like, oh, Tamina has everything to be a world champion in this business. And yet she's been here 95 years and never had a title reign. So
Did he say she has all the tools?
Yeah. She's got all the tools in her shed to be a world heavyweight champion, not just like a women's champion, the world heavyweight champion.
Wow. I mean, that would be, you want to fucking piss off the marks? Give the men's title to Tamina.
Have her beat Brock Lesnar.
That'd be hilarious. So, okay. So Bayley and Naomi square off. Sasha helps out though. And Naomi almost gets a pin with a double sunset flip. That was pretty cool. She kind of ran around for a second with a bunch of like double moves. Naomi's extremely talented in the ring. I just don't know what Naomi is. I don't know what Feel the Glow is. And there's a lot of wrestlers like that. It's not just her. It's a lot of people that have no character, and it's like.
She's a dancer. And I don't know if you noticed, like when she was making her entrance, she had like this really weird like whip looking thing. And when she got into the ring, she brought it back out. And they had like the hard camera shot, and you see Lacey Evans bend over, like puts her rear out and is like, "Hey, whip me with your whip." And I was like, "Dang, you a nasty girl."
They were having a lot of fun in this match. Bayley was shit talking this whole match, and she would just say the funniest things. Like when Naomi got eliminated finally, she's like, "Yeah, you just dance your way up that ramp and dance your way out of here." It's really funny.
Bayley has taken on like her heel persona and really like kind of ran with it. I like her as a bad guy.
I just wish she got more time, to develop all this. I really hope that we're headed towards where I think we are eventually, So let's see here. So Naomi almost gets a pin with that double sunset flip, but then we get a bank statement from Sasha, which is a fucking awesome move, and Naomi taps out like a bitch. And the heels team up on Lacey with moves and funny trash talk. And Bayley accidentally takes out Sasha because Lacey moves out of the way, but Lacey can't capitalize. But Sasha's all pissed. She thinks Bayley did it on purpose, and they argue. Dissension. Women's right to Sasha from Lacey, and she's eliminated. And Bayley's scared. She's like, oh shit. But she immediately gets the fucking drop on Lacey. She's like, oh no, I'm not gonna. Oh, I gotcha. She hits a bunch of heart attack elbows. My note says heart attack Elvis. And so that's different. But Bayley ties Lacey. This is kind of cool. She ties Lacey to the corner with the tag rope, and she ties her right arm so she can't throw the women's right, which is a punch. And but Lacey was in the Navy or something, and she knows how to untie ropes. So she unties the rope. And we get a top rope moonsault from Lacey, but Bayley kicks out. Sasha runs back in, and we're wondering who but whose team is she on? But whose side is she on? And Sasha runs back in and she helps Bayley win with some like arm wrap face buster thingy that she does. And Sasha puts the belt on Bayley, and they look like they're happy. What happened?
Bayley looks confused because she thought that Sasha was going to turn on her, but they're still friends, even though Bayley could have broke up that pinfall that Lacey did on Sasha, but she chose not to. And I think Sasha might, look back at this tape and realize that Bayley did not have her best interests at heart.
Yeah, it's Bayley. It's Bayley that's going to turn on Sasha for sure, right?
Yeah,
it's got to be. So, now I did not realize this, but what I'm assuming this is what happened. The pizza that I had ordered had LSD in it. And at this point, it really kicked in. I don't know if that same thing happened to you. Did that happen to you, John?
Yeah, my burger from Outback, I think that it was I think I got mushrooms on it, and usually I just get pickles, and so I guess I didn't notice it. But things started getting real weird after this match.
Yeah, I started to see things. And one of the things that I saw was the Firefly Funhouse match. The Fiend versus John Cena. I don't know how to describe this. Now, okay, everyone loved this. Okay, so I'm not here to tell you it's bad or you can't like it or something like that. I don't think this was for me. I don't know. I mean, the amount of winking at the camera that's going on in this is it's a little too much, for me. However, I love the Boneyard match, so maybe I need to shut the fuck up. I don't know. I mean, John, what are your overall thoughts on this before we get into what this is?
So I kind of was expecting the Firefly Funhouse match to be like the Boneyard match, but I mean, I'm glad that it wasn't the exact same style, but this was so out there that I started to kind of understand what was going on, and then I was like, wait, what are we doing here? And then wait, okay, we're back on track. Oh wait, now we're what are we doing over here? Oh wait, we're back on track, and I'm like, I just don't know what's going on. I mean, honestly, so it kind of felt like a John Cena retrospective match with splices of Bray Wyatt's character mixed into it. And it almost felt like a retirement match to me.
What was confusing to me is that there are parts in this match where we go back to relive parts of John's career. However, then there's parts that have nothing to do with his career, and I don't understand. And everyone on the internet was like, "Oh, this is this is so meta and blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Well, John Cena was never in the NWO, so what? I don't understand. I don't get that part." But let's run through some of this. I mean, this is weird shit, and again, maybe all the jokes and everything just went right over my head. I don't know. I didn't understand it. So John Cena makes his entrance in the Performance Center where WrestleMania has been. And he looks weird. He looks I don't know. He looks super sarcastic and being a dick. He's looking at the crowd oh, look, this crowd doesn't exist, but I'm going to wave at him anyway, blah, blah, blah. And, but he's is interrupted by the Firefly Funhouse music. And Bray explains that Cena has to face himself. All right. And suddenly Cena's in the Funhouse. But Bray has gone out the door. So I don't know if Ramblin' Rabbit has lost all his hair or something, but a bald Ramblin' Rabbit, I think that's who that is, told Cena that he needs to exit the door to follow Bray. So he does. He goes into the door, and it's darkness. And he's confronted by the Vince McMahon puppet, who challenges John Cena to show his ruthless aggression or be fired.
Then we cut to the ring where Bray Wyatt is supposed to be Kurt Angle from John Cena's first debut at WWE. And so then we have Cena showing up in his prototype gear of who he was as original character, with big pop for me, the big SmackDown fist was just sitting on the ground behind him when he came in. I was like, I missed that SmackDown fist. It was the best. And so he gets in the ring, and him and Bray are having this interaction where Bray's what do you have? And Cena's like, I have ruthless aggression. And he tries to slap him and he keeps ducking. And it's like Bray has these like time management skills where he's able to avoid all of Cena's attacks because it's Cena's biggest mistake of his career.
Which is what?
So in the like ruthless aggression documentary that WWE has, he says like he almost was fired after that like segment because he couldn't really get a character established, and it wasn't until he was allowed to become like the rapper Cena that happened by accident is when his career was saved, because like he was supposed to be fired like that fall after he debuted, and he had a quick character change. So really you had to pay attention to all these different types of media that are going on to kind of get the storyline basis here. So if you're not keeping up with all that, it's going to be hard to track this match. Well, not even if you keep up with all that, because it still got really confusing after this.
Well, I just have a hard time believing that getting fired from WWE would have stopped John Cena from being a famous wrestler, if that's what he wanted to do. John Cena seems like the kind of person, and I think this is something that even Bray says during all this, is that you won't be stopped. You cannot be stopped when it comes to getting what you want. And I don't, that's why I don't understand. It's like Daniel Bryan got fired from WWE like twice, and I don't know. Anyway, all right, so he taunts him, and then Mercy the Buzzard and the Vince Puppets are now suddenly on commentary for Saturday night's main event. And the Vince Puppet said, "This is good shit," or something like that. And everyone thought that was so funny because he said shit. Bray introduces his tag team partner, Johnny Largebody, and John Cena does curls until his arms won't work anymore.
Yeah, I mean, we've all been there before where we're doing bicep curls and we do so many that we can barely lift our arms. And
fight the evil creature that's in their mind?
Yeah. You haven't done that before?
No, I guess I've never worked out before.
Well, listen, brother.
That's how it working out is.
It's all the battlefield of the mind anyways. And so Cena works his arms out too much that he's exhausted and he's not able to punch Bray Wyatt, who's now taunting him. But then we cut away from that to go back to the ring where Cena is now the word life thugonomics, the doctor of thugonomics, and him and Bray have a little rap battle.
And right before that, Bray did make a really cool statement. He said something about, John Cena, in your life, egomania's been running wild, brother, which I thought was pretty funny. There's a segment about the Doctor of Thugonomics. John Cena can only rhyme, and he rhymes the same word a couple times, and then he calls Bray fat, but Bray no-sells it until John strikes a nerve, and he gets pissed, and he says John is a bully who jokes about the weaknesses of others, which is true. And Bray gives Cena one last chance, but he double downs on the insult, and Bray knocks him out with a chain that was around Cena's neck, but suddenly Bray had it. So a lot of this kind of Bray disappearing and reappearing, and something I was very disappointed in this is that I thought that one way that John Cena could fight him would be to disappear, because you can't see Cena. If they had done a clever joke centered around that in this, that would have been fun, but they didn't fucking do that. So, let's see here. So Cena has one last chance, so Bray knocks him down with the chain, and then OG Bray Wyatt appears in the rocking chair in his cabin, and then he's in the ring, and he relives the Mania match from 6 years before. He tempts John Cena to use the steel chair on him, and this time Cena swings, but Wyatt disappears. Because it's time for the NWO?
Yeah, for some reason it starts splicing into Monday Night Nitro, NWO, and Bray Wyatt's Eric Bischoff, and he's introducing his biggest acquisition and the biggest bad guy on the roster. And Cena comes out as if he's Hulk Hogan with an NWF spray painted heavyweight championship, and he's playing it like a guitar. And at this point, I'm I literally have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, you lost me here. I just don't get it. So Cena takes down Wyatt, but Wyatt disappears again. And then the Fiend finally appears and takes Cena out with the mandible claw. And Wyatt counts his own pin. So like Wyatt and the Fiend suddenly are both there, but they're not in the same frame, which is funny.
Yeah.
So you got like that is funny because you got the Fiend holding him down to the pin, to the mat, and then it cuts to a few feet over, and there's Bray Wyatt, and he counts the pin himself, which I thought that was funny. And then Cena disappears, and we cut to a confused Titus O'Neil who says, "I don't know what I just saw."
And I'm like, same, brother.
Yeah, what did we just see, John? John, did they go too far? I think they went a little too far with this. That's my opinion, but I don't know. What do you think?
I think they did as well, but now that I've had like a little time to think about it, I'm trying to think about the WCW Hulk Hogan thing. And I'm thinking it's like the idea that Hulk Hogan was this ultimate babyface. He was never going to go bad. And then we finally had this random shot where he turned into the bad guy and was the biggest bad guy ever. And so maybe this Firefly Funhouse gave us what we all have been like wishing Cena would do, which was turn heel, but they would never allow him to. And so this is like the figment of their imagination of saying like, here's Cena, he's the bad guy now, this is what you wanted. And we've now given him this persona that he's been the bad guy the entire time, but we've just tricked you into thinking that he was the good guy because he's always been belittling. He's always been an egomaniac. Like, these are all things that Cena has always been, but everyone's accepted him as a face. And so maybe this was like their way of saying like, yeah, he's always been the good guy, but really he's been the bad guy this entire time. You guys were just so brainwashed into not thinking that.
Here's an alternate reading of this as well that I just came up with, and that's that maybe this is kind of playing out a little bit of what if John Cena did get fired, like what would he have done? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I mean, like maybe he could have saved WCW or something like that. I don't know. I'm not really sure what they were trying to say. You have a pretty good, I mean, I think your reading of that's pretty good. So that might be what they were trying to say. I don't know, man. I don't know if I just don't have the energy to think of it. I mean, because like sometimes I'll watch a movie that's really deep and I'm just not in the mood for it and I don't like it, and then I watch it again later and I'm like, okay, I get this. I like this a little more. I never quite like it as much as I could have if I had liked it maybe initially, but maybe this is just over my head. Maybe that's what it is. I'm looking for dumb, simple entertainment in my pro wrestling, and what I'm getting is something that's so deep and like, that it takes time to think about, and I'm not willing to do that. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, instead you got some like Inception level stuff where we're like, wait, what's going on? Are we talking about real life? Are we talking about a dream? Is this reality? Like, what's going on? Well, we know it's not reality because the screen goes black. Or maybe Cena is now lost in this abyss and he will never be seen again.
Oh, I hope not, man.
And so Hall of Fame ceremony.
Well, I'm a big David Lynch fan, and as Agent Cooper says, we all live in a dream, so maybe that's what it is. But well, John, this leads us to your main event of the evening, and the main event is the WWE Heavyweight Championship match. The champion Brock Lesnar versus the Royal Rumble winner Drew McIntyre. And we get basically the same fucking match that we got yesterday for the Intercontinental title, right?
Universal title, whatever
it is.
They did like 7 moves. Actually, they didn't even do 7 moves. They did like 4 different moves, and that was the match.
Here's how it works in WWE now. In order to win one of the major men's titles that's not the IC title, the major ones, right? You can only do your finishers.
Nothing else.
No, you can't do any other moves. I mean, Brock gets an exemption where he's allowed to do a suplex, but other than that, you can only do your finishers because that's exactly what happened last night, and that's what happened in night 2. Let me run through this match with you real quick. We get a Claymore from Drew right out of the gate, but Brock kicks out. Suplex City. F5, but Drew kicks out at 1. Another F5. Drew kicks out at 2. Major titles can only be defended by using your finisher, I guess. Third F5. Drew kicks out at 3. 3 Claymores in a row. Drew wins.
Yeah, that's the entire match.
3-minute match, 4-minute match, something like that.
And I almost tweeted this out, but I didn't want to be too complainy. But I guess the gloves are off. I've complained about this entire show, pretty much. Even though it wasn't a bad show, I just complained about a lot of it. But so we have the NXT Women's Title, which was a great match. It got 30 minutes. We had the Last Man Standing match, not a great match, got 37 minutes. And we had the Otis Ziggler match. It got 15 minutes. But somehow our main event, our main two titles, Universal title and the WWE title, they both were squash matches. What?
They got combined under 10 minutes.
I would say they got combined under 7 minutes. These are your top titles, and these are the type of caliber matches you want to have. This is why people shit on WWE products all the time. Is because you treat your top titles like crap.
Hey, man. Fuck them up, John. Tell them what's up.
It's so frustrating that you build up these are supposed to be such prestigious titles, and then you just crap all over them. Drew McIntyre had to win the Royal Rumble to have this match, and his match was 4 minutes long. He deserves so much better than that because I know he can have a good match. I know Lesnar can have a good match. Why that's more time.
That's what I was going to say, is that we got ripped off because, I want to see Lesnar wrestle. I don't want to see him hit some moves and walk out the door. I want to see him wrestle, man. His match with Daniel Bryan was one of my favorite matches last year. His match the year before with AJ Styles was one of my favorite matches that year. And Lesnar is one of the best wrestlers out there. And we don't get to see him wrestle even?
No. We don't even get to. I don't even think I heard Heyman yelling on the outside. Outside of one time he was like, "Hey, watch out! There's a Claymore coming."
Yeah,
he was pulling a Lana.
Yeah. Well, it's just disappointing because I understand the haters and the people out there because I'm a big fan of Brock Lesnar. I love him, and so I do find it comical when people say things like, he's a part-time champion, you never see him wrestle, and then we'd see him have an incredible match with somebody, and it'd be like, well, yeah, once a month he has these amazing matches, but we don't get that. We don't get it once a month. We don't get it ever now. We get, his last couple matches have just been couple minutes. That's disappointing, man. That's a big bummer to end, the showcase of the Immortals for 3 minutes.
And they didn't even give Drew any pyro at all. I get you're in a pretty closed facility, but light up some sparklers. Get a Roman candle. Give me something. Drew McIntyre just finally won the big one that he's been, scratching and clawing at. He got fired, went and made a name for himself outside of WWE, came back and has been one of the top monsters in the promotion. Now he's all of a sudden a good guy out of nowhere, and this is how he gets treated for his Mania win. They could have shot, I don't know, get some bottle rockets, give me something.
You know what they could have done? I would love this, is if 3MB came out they were going to beat him down after the match. Brock Lesnar's already gone. And Paul Heyman shakes their hand or something on the way down or gives them a little nod. It looks like they're going to beat him up, but then they just high five them and they celebrate together, and that's how we leave WrestleMania. Give them a chance, to be a part of that. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, well,
that's not what we got.
So night 2 of WrestleMania, kind of a disappointment. Night 1 was awesome. I had so much fun. Night 2 it felt like work. So, I don't know, John. What else do you got to say about all this?
We had a couple pretty good matches. The Charlotte Rhea match was great. Even Otis and Dolph had a good match. But overall, I just thought night 2 it paled in comparison to night 1. And so for me, I am glad that this was not all in one night, and that if this was all mixed together into a 7-hour show, we would have complained way more than we did. We at least had nice things to say at times tonight. But so thank God we split it into 2 nights.
I think when those big long ones like the 7-hour WrestleManias and stuff that we've experienced in the past, the good and the bad kind of outweigh each other. And you end up at the end of the night going, okay, it was a decent show because they did have this, that, and the other thing. And so it's almost like they took all the bad stuff and put it on tonight's show and put all the good stuff on yesterday's show. You know what I mean? So we didn't have that kind of balance like that we normally have. Because I always say a WWE pay-per-view, you get the good, the bad, the ugly. You know, you get some great. You get some good stuff, you get some really bad, and you get some bad stuff. So you're always going to have that on every WWE pay-per-view, no matter what it is. And it sucks that we got all the bad tonight. I mean, there's people that disagree with us. That's just how we feel. So.
Yeah, but hey, at least we got some new content. You like some new wrestling because, like we said before, like who knows? Because now pretty much everybody's like shut down. Like, so even AEW, who's been doing like empty arena shows, like I don't know if they're going to be able to produce anything either because Florida, where they're based out of, literally has shut everything down. So we'll see. This might be like tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw might be the last that we get for a while.
How much you want to bet they replay that entire Last Man Standing match tomorrow night on Raw?
I think they'll play it next Monday, not tomorrow.
You think so? Okay.
Which I meant to make a joke yesterday because it would have made better sense. Like WWE, like products here the past few weeks, they've been replaying entire WrestleMania matches. Yeah. Like SmackDown, they had a 4-segment Ric Flair Shawn Michaels match, and I was like, I meant to make a joke yesterday. I'm gonna shoot my shot tonight. Where I was like, I can't wait until they replay that Kevin Owens and or the Kevin Steen Tyler Black match, instead of the current product. They just bring that Ring of Honor match and throw it in here and see if anybody catches it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I wish I wish all that stuff was on the network so we could watch it all. That'd be cool. I mean, but it's out there. You just gotta get Ring of Honor shit. But anyway, all right, man. Well, I'm all talked out. I don't know what else to say about this. I am very happy that we got to cover WrestleMania. This was something that I've always wanted to do. Obviously, I wanted to do that by going there, but we got an opportunity to do it, and hopefully folks enjoyed it, whether we were positive, negative, or somewhere in the middle. Hopefully we were entertaining, and, look for some cool shit coming up from us. We got some fun interviews coming out this week, movie reviews, as well as a special mental health focus episode with our mental health professional of the Road Home from Wrestling podcast, Mandy, will be making a special appearance this week as well. So we've got some fun stuff coming up that's different, and I hope you guys all enjoy it. I hope you found our show to be fun. Please reach out to us. You can find John at jhat05 on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me at Jerusalem Tweets on Twitter, and the show at the Road Home FW on all social media at the Road Home FW. John, anything else to add tonight?
I don't think so. Thanks for having us in your ears.
All right. Thank you so much for listening.
Sayonara.